Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. There's something in the air, something special in the air. The Green Bay Packers have now won 4 straight football games. They hold their playoff destiny in the palm of their hands. A win next weekend against the Detroit Lions gets you into the playoffs. You do not want to play this Packers squad. Defensively, things are clicking. Offensively, things are clicking. Aaron Rodgers said this past week was probably their first complimentary football game they've played so far this season. The defense forced 4 turnovers to Captain Kirk Cousins, who threw for just 205 yards with 3 picks on the day. Justin Jefferson, who was ready to break Calvin Johnson's receiving record in a season. He had just 1 catch for 15 yards. Jair Alexander shut that man down. Shout out Barry. Shout out Joe Barry for making that adjustment since the first game of the season and letting Alexander follow Justin for pretty much the entirety of the game. Keyshawn Nixon, this man, he had on Christmas Day a 91-yard kickoff return, right? 105-yard kickoff return touchdown yesterday. Early in the game, after the defense got a huge stop after giving up a punt, which is just, that is so Packers. The special teams, man, outside of Nixon, is still worrisome to me, but it's okay. It's okay. He now has 7 straight games with at least 90 total kickoff return yards, the longest streak in the NFL since 2000. This is a spark plug, this is a momentum changer, and this is something heading into the playoffs that I'm very excited to have in my back pocket. Kenny Clark said on Nixon, every time he's got the ball in his hands, I'm standing up there trying to see what he's going to do. Him and Six, they came in and changed the culture on special teams. That's exactly what Nixon has done. It's just mesmerizing, actually. That was so cool. You also had a pick 6 yesterday, but before we get into the video, if you guys do enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I post daily NFL content. I am a Green Bay Packers fan, and I am feeling something about this Packers team. I'm not necessarily saying we're going to go to the Super Bowl, we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying all that, because I believe actually right now the way things are, we got to play San Francisco, which is just the last thing in the world I want. But I'm focused on next week. I'm focused on getting in the playoffs, because the way this season started versus the way it went after the way it started, it's just, this is such a good feeling to have. This Packers team started 3-1. You know, we beat good teams. We beat Tampa. We beat New England. We had that great win against Chicago right after the brutal 23-7 loss against Minnesota. Then we just rattled off loss after loss after loss after loss after loss. There was that Cowboy win sprinkled in there, but it was disastrous. Yesterday, the Green Bay Packers proved to me, it was 27-3 at halftime. 27-3 at halftime. There's something in the air with the Packers, and I agree fully with what Aaron Rodgers said. That kind of feels like the first complimentary game. And it starts, honestly, with the offense, because the defense is very talented. Okay, we've seen the defense. They have the most takeaways in the league on this win streak. They're getting 2 at least a game right now. Minnesota, I know, they're 12-4 regardless. I know they've gotten some good luck per se, but they're still a talented football team. For Green Bay to win that convincingly after literally giving up a punt, Minnesota blocked a punt on their first drive of the game. The defense held them to a field goal. The defense has been solid all season. It's just the difference between the last couple of wins and the way the season looked like it was going. A lot of it has to do with the run game. The defense is just out on the field less. Of course, they're going to give up some big plays if they're out on the field for 80% of the football game. They're gassed. They're tired. The offense has been running the football finally. Aaron Jones passed 1,000 yards this past weekend, once again, 3rd season of his career. 14 carries, 111 yards. That's almost 8 yards per carry. A.J. Dillon, 12 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown. That's 3.5 yards per carry. This Packers team ran for over 150 yards, averaged 5 yards per rush, and had 2 touchdowns. They dominated time of possession, and that's going to keep your defense off the field. That right there is the difference maker. And you got guys who are playing a little bit injured. They're playing a little bit hurt. Christian Watson certainly isn't 100%. Packers controlled time of possession 34 minutes to 26 minutes. I know it's not anything crazy, but that's going to be the difference maker heading into the playoffs, because if you can run the football, you can win any game you play. It's as simple as that. But I really loved the way the defense came up and stepped. It was guys just making plays. That Kenny Clark fumble on Kirk Cousins, what was that, in the third quarter, where Minnesota was driving the ball, it was still 27-3. So it's not like, we were worried about possibly losing the football game, but it was like, okay, Minnesota's coming off the best comeback in NFL history. Let's keep our foot on the gas. That's all we have to do, keep our foot on the gas. And Kirk Cousins drives down the field, they get into the red zone, and Kenny Clark does Kenny Clark things and just bats. That was such a high football IQ play. They didn't even talk enough about that on the broadcast. This man, instead of going for the easy sack, which was clear as day because Minnesota's offensive line was dropping like flies, he bats the ball out of Kirk's hand and just falls on top of it. That is football IQ, and that was a huge play. It's not like if they didn't get that, they were going to lose the game going down 27-10, but it's plays like that in the playoffs, come playoff time, that every turnover matters. You cannot be turning the football over. So Aaron Rodgers finished the day 15-24, 160 yards and a touchdown. I do wish I wish they let Jordan Love throw it, let it loose. I will say that. We'll just sprinkle that in there. Allen Lazard was consistent. Robert Tonyan caught a touchdown. The health of Robert Tonyan is severely underrated. Romeo Doubs is a rookie beast. He's had some issues with drops. I guess Christian Watson has as well, but if you can get Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson firing on all cylinders like Christian's been doing the last several weeks, if you can do the same thing with Doubs heading into the playoffs, that goes a long way. But man, this defense, I felt so good for Darnell Savage. I felt so good for this man. He had a pick six. And the Packers are the only team to have a kickoff return over 100 yards and a pick six over 75 yards in the same game ever. Darnell Savage. Adrian Amos also caught an interception. Rudy Ford caught an interception. This defensive line, even if they weren't necessarily getting pressure on Kirk Cousins, which they were getting pressure on Kirk Cousins, don't worry about that. But let's say Kirk was about to throw it, they just put their hand up, and that caused the Amos interception. That caused a couple of big-time plays there. The footing was also a big deal. Justin Jefferson was not having on it, any of it. Jair Alexander, the man is just continuing to prove all season this is why he was paid the way he was paid. This man hit the gritty on JJ in the first several minutes of the football game. I guess he should have got penalized for that. If he got penalized for that, I would be not very thrilled, because just small momentum stuff like that, you never know what could happen. A team like Minnesota could take advantage of that. So Jair, I love you. Just please don't get stupid penalty calls, which he didn't, so I got no issues here. All right, this defense is legit. This offense is legit. We're firing on all cylinders, and I can't wait for that game against the Detroit Lions, because they're also a young, enticing football team. So hit the like button, hit that sub button. If you want more Packers content, let me know down below. But most importantly, is this Packers team, first off, going to make the playoffs? And how far are they going to get if they do make the playoffs? Peace.